Hey guys, it's Nailbiter, and this is a replay I had with the S-Tank, the Strv 103b, on Kharkov. I wanted to post this replay as a follow-up to the other Strv commentary I posted a couple weeks ago because, as I talked about in that video, the Strv is a tank that, while it can be great in more open maps, it can be really difficult to play on smaller city maps. So since that previous game I posted was on Steppes, which is a pretty open map, I figured it'd be useful to post a replay I had with the Strv on a city map and then go through some of my thought process and how I approach playing that kind of map. As I talked about in the other commentary, and actually I'll put a link in the description of this video in case you haven't seen the other commentary that I'm talking about. But the Strv is best when you can keep your distance from the enemy and when you can catch enemy tanks out in open areas where they don't have any hard cover they can use, because those are the situations where you can really take advantage of your gun handling and DPM. But on city maps, there really aren't many opportunities for this kind of playstyle, and on Kharkov in particular, I think. Since you have so few long sightlines, a lot of what you get on these kinds of maps is peekaboo brawling, and as I've said before, that's where dealing with the siege mode on this tank can be really awkward and difficult. And on top of that, with only 390 alpha, it makes it much harder to trade effectively with tanks if you're just trading shot for shot. So with all that being said, while I still try to keep my distance from the enemy as much as possible when I play this tank on city maps, and I also, similar to what I talked about in the last video, I also always try to avoid engaging tanks that are likely to overmatch my armor. There are two other things that I wanted to mention here that I generally focus on trying to do with this Strv as much as possible when I'm playing it on a city map. One is to go for tracking shots as much as possible, because that way, even in brawling situations, you can at least use your rate of fire and DPM to minimize the negatives of having low alpha, and you can sometimes get more favorable trades that way. And the second is that I try to position myself so that I can ambush enemy tanks when they're engaging with allies and not paying attention to me. So you'll see me do each of these things in this replay. Anyway, I've talked a bit before about playing Kharkov, but what I typically like to do if I'm playing a faster tank is I like to try to spot what the enemy team sends to the southeast section of the map. So that's what I'm going to do at the start of the game here, is spot the area. Since I'm in the south spawn, I'm going to spot the area around F9 and see if I can get some early shots of damage in on the tanks that are crossing there. Now, I have to admit, I think I was a little bit tilted at the start of this game just getting this map with the Strv, because, I mean, out of all city maps, I think Kharkov is probably one of the worst for the Strv. So I don't really play the opening of this game very well, because, first of all, instead of going to the safer spotting position around H5, I end up going farther forward to the one around G6, which can give you more opportunities for doing damage, but it's also much more exposed. And as soon as I get to this bush at G6, I get lit, which I wasn't really expecting. So I decided to wiggle back and forth a little bit so that any enemy aiming at me doesn't have any clear shots. And it almost cost me that shot on that Skoda, but fortunately my shot connected and I was also able to bounce that T-34 shell. And I see another Skoda already in the southeast who's passing out in the open, so I'm able to get a quick shot into him as well. But because of how aggressively the enemy is playing in the southeast, I know that I'm way too exposed in that position. I mean, it's kind of dealing with multiple angles at once, which you definitely don't want to do in this tank. And so I decided to reverse back so that I only have to worry about what's in front of me, and I don't have to worry about anything having a shot or an angle on my side. And I decided I'd try to pre-aim the 1390 in case he decided to move up. But I think I lost my patience just at the wrong moment. You saw I sort of zoomed out of my reticle right before he had popped up in my screen. And so I think I just kind of looked away at the wrong moment and mistimed my shot. So that was kind of unfortunate. Just bad timing, really. But now I'm kind of in a bad position because the enemy team is also being aggressive in the middle of the map. That 50B was poking out, so I decided to turn and try to get a shot into him, but the low on my team ends up blocking my shot. And for some reason, I kind of completely forget about the southeast flank, so I end up taking two shots in the side from that other Skoda without being able to return fire. And so once he takes his third shot, I know that I have to get out of that area because, that's exactly the kind of position that you want to avoid with the Strv, where you have multiple flanks that you have to worry about. As I'm reversing back, I see that Waffle gets spotted around F7, so I decided I was going to try to peek out and get shots into him, but as soon as I round this corner, I spot that grill, and again, he lights me, which I wasn't expecting, and I get kind of lucky there because a lot of times the grill is going to be able to overmatch the armor on this tank, but I was able to bounce that shot, and I put one shell into the grill. I actually tracked him, but he used his repair kit. Now, it was kind of at this point where I was thinking to myself that I'm playing way too aggressively. I need to be much more intelligent about how I play with this tank on this map, because At this point, I'm lucky to have as much HP as I have left. I really wasn't in a very good position to start the game, and I was fortunate to bounce that grill shot. So I need to try to just play more patiently with this tank and be more smart about how I position myself. So at this point, I'm looking at the minimap, and the enemy 50B is kind of pushed through the middle of the map pretty aggressively, and I also saw there's an Emil 1 on my team who's kind of in an isolated position and needs a one-shot. So I'm expecting that the 50B will try to kill that Emil 1, so I want to set up in a position where I can catch him as he's trying to do that. So sure enough, the 50B pops out to kill the Emil 1. There's nothing I could do to save the Emil 1, but I'm able to track the 50B, so I can keep him in place here and get multiple shots into him. And I also don't have to worry about the 50B being able to pen me. Unfortunately, that Oho has the derp gun, so he is able to do some damage to me. And I thought I had the 50B permatracked, but unfortunately he was able to repair and back off. But now the Oho isn't able to really retreat, so I'm able to get a couple shots into him. And I was pretty sure there that my reload would beat his reload, so I'm able to kill the Oho before he gets another shot into me. Now the 50B is moving over toward the west of the map, toward the 2-line, and I want to try to kill him, so I'm going to try to catch him just before he gets behind cover. And fortunately he stopped before he got behind that hill to try to take a shot into me, which gave me just enough time to get into siege mode and take him out as well. Now again, I'm trying to look at the minimap to see if I can catch any other tanks who are a little bit exposed. And I saw this Emil 2 who was distracted by the 54 lightweight on my team. So I'm going to try to get into a position to catch him out in the open. And the RD on my team actually hits him and tracks him in place. So I'm able to just sit here and use my DPM to take him out. And I know, again, his gun can't pen my or overmatch my armor. And so I'm able to get a bunch of shots in him without having to worry. And the nice thing about this position, which I kind of just went to on the fly, but I was able to protect my side from like the T-34 Roomba as well. So I'm able to get, I think, 3 shots into that Emil 2 before the RD finishes him off. But now my team is in a pretty bad position in this game because we've lost everything that we had in the northwest of the map, and it looks like we're going to lose the southeast flank as well. I was trying to get back to see if I could maybe support that 57 heavy and low, but they get taken out before I can get into any position. And so now I'm really, at this point I really think the game is lost, and I'm just going to try to get as much damage as I can. I'm able to get a good shot into the 1390 as he's pushing through that, or up that ditch. But now I'm in a really awkward position for this tank because there's so much cover and there's so many variations in the terrain that there isn't really any long sightline that I can take advantage of to force the 1390 to engage me. And so as soon as I go into siege mode, he's just going to be able to get on my side. So I have to be really careful about how I deal with this situation. I'm trying to see if I can peek up and use this ridge to get a shot into him, but he's able to get back in cover. The Roomba gets lit, but again, I'm not able to get a shot into him. So I'm trying to find ways to just peek up and get shots. And fortunately, I kind of catch this T-34 out when he wasn't really expecting me to peek. So I get the kill shot on him. But now, again, I'm in a really bad position because the 1390 is in front of me, but I know that there's a Roomba, or that Roomba is going to be coming down the 1 line behind me. And it looks like the Skoda T50 is going to be coming on my side as well. So I really need to shift or get out of this position. So I decided to drive straight at the 1390 and ram into him. I was thinking initially that I might be able to shotgun him and get a shot on him, but at the very least, I wanted to just get out of that position. So I used my frontal armor to make sure that he couldn't damage me while he was trying to empty his clip. And then I just kind of shifted around him, so I was able to keep everything in front of me. So now I can actually reverse back and put some distance between me and those 3 tanks that were kind of closing in on me. I don't have to worry about getting flanked anymore. And fortunately, I hadn't instantly used my repair kit on my gun earlier when it first got damaged because and I probably would have taken some damage there when the 1390 tracked me, but instead I was able to instantly repair my track, and I continued to reverse back while keeping my frontal armor towards the 1390 and Skoda. And now I'm actually in a decent position where I feel like I can kind of set up. There's some bushes here that I can actually use, so that I'm not actually sure that I'm lit at this point, and it looks like the 1390 is going to try to push up towards me again. So I'm going to peek over this hill and make sure I get a tracking shot to keep him in place so that he can't get on my side. And now he's a sitting duck, so I get the kill shot on him. And now it's really just the Skoda that I have to worry about. I'm not really sure what the Roomba is doing. I'm also checking the other flank because the T95 on my team is also still alive. So if I can try to help him out as well, then I definitely want to do that. So I take a look towards the east of the map to see if I can help the T95, but I light the Skoda as he's peeking out, and I just go into siege mode quickly to see if I can get a shot into him. But now I'm thinking that since the Skoda hasn't lit me in a little while, he won't know exactly where I'm positioned, which means that if I go to help out the T-95, I'll have a little bit of time before I have to worry about the Skoda flanking me, because he's probably thinking that I'm just still, around K5 or K6 just staring at him. So I move up to try to help the T-95, who's able to actually kill that Roomba, which is a really important kill, and now I can get shots into the Bat Arty that's behind the T-95. So I'm able to kill the Bat Arty, and I was looking to see briefly if I had a shot on the Skoda T-50, but I felt like if I stayed much longer in that position, the other Skoda in the southwest was going to be able to flank me, and especially once he gets on our cap, I know that he's probably closing in on my side. So I'm able to just barely turn in time before he gets flank shots on me, but I've also actually reversed back far enough so that the other Skoda in the north doesn't have any line of sight on me. And now I can just angle my front armor toward the guy by our cap. And I got a little bit nervous there when he penned me once, so I went into siege mode briefly just to make sure he wasn't able to empty his full clip into me for free. But I know that the other Skoda in the north is probably going to be trying to flank me, so I need to keep reversing back and cut off the line of sight of the guy that's by our cap. And sure enough, as soon as I get into cover and turn, I spot the northern Skoda in G8, and I'm able to quickly get a shot into him. Now, he bounces 3 shots off me, so I know he's going to be on reload for about 20 seconds. And I'm thinking that the other Skoda to my left is probably going to be trying to close the distance, so I decide to peek out and hopefully catch him out in the open. And sure enough, I catch him by surprise and get the kill shot on him. Meanwhile, the other Skoda decides to try to rush me, but I'm easily able to turn and actually track him for no damage with that first shot, but he just harmlessly bounces 2 shots of my frontal armor, and I get the final kill shot. So there's the end of the replay. It was a bit of a hectic finish, and I wasn't really expecting to win this game. I had to deal with several awkward situations, especially when I was kind of trapped in the southwest with that 1390 and Skoda T50 and Roomba trying to chase me down. But I was able to maneuver out of that situation using the frontal armor and the great reverse speed that the Strv has to my advantage. And then I felt like I did a really good job at the end dealing with those 2 Skodas, where I was always able to keep my flank safe so that I only ever had to focus on one of the Skodas at a time. And so I kind of was able to force them into making mistakes there at the end, and was able to win the game for my team. So anyway, that's the end of the replay, as I said, and now I'll show you the post-game stats. This ended up being an ace tanker, as I did about 600 to 800 damage and got 7 kills, and actually also blocked almost 5k damage, so it was a pretty good overall game with the Strv, and I was really pleased with this game just because of how awkward the Strv can be to play on city maps, and with Kharkov in particular, I just think it's a difficult map to play in general. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the replay and the commentary. I've actually got a few other replays with the Strv on city maps that I think I'll probably try to post. So I'll put a link in the description of this video to those replays once I get those up, if you want to check those out. I think they also kind of demonstrate some of what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the commentary. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.